Yeah, I must say, it has been an eventful Champions League, quarterfinal, second leg clash, right? Yeah, we've seen so many events, so many dramatic events, that have just you know, turned into something that was unexpected, into something that is also unprecedented, to say the least. And, when I think about Barcelona's elimination, I think about Manchester City also being eliminated and Atletico Madrid also being eliminated, it just, I ask questions like, how does this even happen? But I guess this is Champions League football, you know, because these are teams that were in the driving seat from the first leg. But I would say these are teams that even didn't deserve to be eliminated, you know? They just didn't deserve to be eliminated at all. It shows that football can be very cruel. It can. It can be a very cruel sport. Because, hey, man, I mean, things can just happen unexpectedly. Because, look, let us just start with the game between Barcelona and PSG, you know? Yeah, I mean, Barcelona losing the second leg with 10 men eliminated at home. I must say it is like really a truly brutal way to say goodbye, to Europe. I mean, Barcelona did not deserve to lose at all. They had the game in complete control. Okay? They were in complete control of the game and of the tie. You understand? I mean, now Barcelona's journey in this season's Champions League, has come to an end. At the quarterfinal stage, which is, it goes back to this painful, 4-1 defeat against Paris Saint-Germain, in Tuesday's second leg, at the Olympic Stadium. And Barcelona, they started the game with a strong team performance and they took the lead on, right? Which meant that they were even leading by 2 goals now, clear. 4-2 on aggregate, and we're leading 1-0 on the night. But it was due to that controversial red card after 30 minutes. It completely changed the game and it completely changed the tie. And obviously a 10-man Barca side, fought hard, but they couldn't hold off the visitors, because PSG got the goals that they needed to complete the comeback and then advance to the semi-finals, right? And that, in my opinion, is a red card with no disputes whatsoever. That indeed is a red card. Like I said, man, Barcelona, they began the second leg with a very similar strategy to last week, right? And the Catalans, gave PSG the ball and looked to actually avoid conceding an early goal, but they defended deep inside their own half, with a well-organized structure. And then let's just say, man, the plan actually worked. As PSG had all the possessions, but they did nothing with it. And to even make things even better for Barca, Barca took the lead on the very first attack. Lamine Yamal. Lamine Yamal. Oh, what a player, man. What a player, what a gem. This is the bright prospect of the future. Like the youngster, he just as he received the ball on the right wing, the way he dribbled past Nuno Mendes. Oh my goodness. He just dribbled past Nuno. He made it look so easy. Right? He just made it look so easy. As he found Rafinha, in the 6-yard box, just for a simple tap in to put the home team in front. Now Rafinha's got 3 goals in 2 games against PSG. And basically you could say Barcelona looked very comfortable in the minutes, following the opener. They were staying organized at the back and looking to control the midfield and get the ball to the forward players in good positions. PSG, on the other hand, they offered very little threat, until the shot by Kylian Mbappe, that it just required a world-class save from Marc-Andre ter Stegen. But Barca still looked in pretty good shape. Then at the half-hour mark, oh my goodness, everything just changed. Everything changed. Everything just changed. It's just so unfortunate that, you can undo so much of the hard work that you've put in for so long. And then just by that one mistake, that one careless mistake, that one, mistake of complacence, that one moment of complacency, that one moment of, lack of focus, that one moment of miscommunication can just, undo all the hard work that you put in. Because it was due to that mistake in the midfield that led to a pass that released Bradley Barcola. And it was Arujo who gave away the ball in the first place. He gave away the ball, misplacing a pass that was just unnecessary. He could have just gone for a pass back to Ter Stegen and rebuild once again. And now Araujo, he fouled the French forward just outside of the box. And there was no need for Araujo to actually commit to that. He didn't have to. But the referee deemed it as a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity, and rightfully so. I agree. That was I don't understand why people are disputing that. That was a red card, a clear red card. And that's Araujo's fault. He was very reckless. He just lost his head in the moment. He just couldn't keep his composure. And that was a deserved red card. And now Barcelona had to play, down to 10 men with a full hour to play. And how are you gonna play, with a full hour with 10 men against the PSG side that has got pace? That the fact that they stood no chance against Barcelona PSG. Let me be real. Paris Saint-Germain stood no chance against Barcelona of actually winning. But now Now you have just given them ammunition to actually say, you know what, though, guys, actually we stand a chance. Our possession are down to 10 men. So let's make it count. Let's make that one-man advantage count. Okay? And PSG, they were offered a way back in the tie. And they took full advantage of that. Because now they applied real pressure to the vulnerable Barcelona defense. And for the fact that Xavi Hernandez, he decided to take off Yamal and replaced him with Inigo Martinez to reshape the back four. Yes, I understand. But replace Lewandowski then. Because Lewandowski did not offer the team anything. Yes, I understand, it meant that Barcelona, were less threatening going forward and they were fully committed to defending their lead. But for how long was that going to last? How long was that going to last? He should have replaced Lewandowski. Lewandowski was the player to be replaced. Yeah, but look, with 5 minutes to go into the period, PSG scored the equalizer. Vitinha found Barcola alone on the left wing, and then he hit his cross which found Ousmane Dembele at the far post. And the former Barcelona man smashed it home to make it 1-1. And Dembele nearly scored just 5 seconds later with a volley that just went wide. And PSG, they looked ready to take the lead at any moment. And Dembele was enjoying himself. That time when he's like, you could see the guy was just enjoying himself, man. He was just not bothered whatsoever. He was not fazed by the fact that, he was getting a harsh, welcome return, back to his former side, right? And then the halftime whistle came by, to give Barcelona 15 minutes of relief and a chance to decide, just like to design, a second half plan and how they're gonna, go about in terms of avoiding to concede another goal, right? But hey, PSG had all the momentum and they knew they had 45 minutes against a 10-man Barcelona side to find goals needed to turn the tie around. And would the visitors complete the comeback, or were Barca about to create yet another heroic Champions League moment against PSG? And the second half started as expected, with PSG owning the ball, Barcelona parking the bus, looking for an early goal. Achraf Hakimi forced a good save from Ter Stegen. Fabian Ruiz missed an easy chance, after a pass from Mbappe in the first 5 minutes. And then what else happened? PSG's goal really seemed just to be a matter of time. And indeed it was, right? The visitors took a short corner and the ball came to Vitinha at the edge of the box. And the Portuguese midfielder was allowed plenty of time and space to fire a rocket that found the bottom corner and gave the visitors the lead for the first time on the night, right? And Barcelona almost responded immediately, with the shot from Ilkay Gundogan that hit the post. But the Catalans, were dealt a potential knockout blow at the hour mark. João Cancelo, there was no need for him to do that. Again, another stupid mistake. Another careless mistake, very clumsy. And that's unlike him. The way he fouled Dembele inside the box, that was just unlike, João Cancelo. It's so unlike him. And obviously, Mbappe scored from the resulting penalty to give PSG a 2-goal lead. That was enough to send them through. And then Xavi Hernandez as well. Guys, as a coach, when your team needs you the most, act like the leader that you're supposed to be. Act like the leader that you're supposed to be. Oof. Yeah, man, it was just one of those games, man. Xavi being sent off for dissent, before the third goal. So his brother Oscar took charge and then sent on Ferran Torres as Barca had, half an hour to actually find at least one goal to get back into the tie. But Robert Lewandowski forced Gigi Donnarumma into a fine save. But hey, Lewandowski should have just passed the ball, man. I don't understand why he didn't pass the ball. You know, he had Ferran Torres that was in space. He also had João Felix on the other side in space, but he decided to go alone. And the Catalans, yeah, they didn't give up as, you know, they reached the final 15 minutes. You know, Xavi and Oscar made one last roll of the dice, you know, with two attacking changes, where they brought in João Felix and Fermin Lopez into the fold. You know, moving Rafinha to left back, and then Barca threw caution to the wind, looking for a late miracle. But hey, that miracle never materialized. And PSG managed to seal the deal at the death. The visitors went on a devastating counter-attack for a Barca corner. And then, after two monster saves by ter Stegen, the ball fell to Mbappe, who found the net for a second time and secured qualifications for the team from France, from the French capital. But I must say, you know, it was a very painful defeat, you know, to Barcelona. Yes, the final whistle, you know, came to another, you know, tragic night in Europe for Barcelona. This one doesn't even begin to compare to Rome, Anfield, or Munich. You know, Barca were the better team for almost all, you know, of the first 120 minutes of the tie, and probably would have qualified if not for the Araujo red card. And I agree, because that red card changed everything. Because Barca fought as hard and for as long as they could, but PSG's talent eventually took over. And look, it really hurts, to say the least, if you're a Barca fan. It does hurt. It really hurts big time. It hurts. And hey, it hurts, man. It hurts. Well, and the other Tuesday thriller. So Borussia Dortmund, right, take on Atletico Madrid. That was basically another 6-goal thriller. A 6-goal thriller. So the hosts just edged out Atletico Madrid in a 6-goal thriller to actually reach the last 4. So basically, Borussia Dortmund winning by 5 goals to 4 on aggregate. So now Borussia Dortmund have actually reached the UEFA Champions League semi-finals for the first time since 2013. You know, it was a gripping victory at home to Atletico Madrid, to say the least, right? You know, Borussia Dortmund, finally, they've clinched a stunning victory at home to Atletico Madrid in what I can just say and what I can describe as a pulsating UEFA Champions League quarterfinal second leg. You know, just to reach the last 4 for the first time in 11 years. You know, and that has been a long time coming, if you say that. You know, Dortmund, it was just like it was an end-to-end classic game. It was an end-to-end classic night of Champions League football. I mean, think about it. Borussia Dortmund were trailing 2-1 from the first leg in Madrid. And then Dortmund started on the front foot, and they were denied an early opener by Cesar Azpilicueta's magnificent, you know, close-range block from Marcel, you know, Sabitzer. I ask myself, these former Manchester United players, why do they play so well at other clubs? I ask myself, man. At Old Trafford, I've never seen Sabitzer, you know, deliver this kind of performance. You know, yes, on the other hand, Morata, he almost silenced the home supporters moments later, racing clear before sending a dinked effort narrowly off target. Although, what we saw also on the other end again from Dortmund, you know, Edin, you know, Terzic's side, you know, continued to enjoy the majority of the possession. As the first half wore on, Jan Oblak was largely untroubled until Julian Brandt broke the deadlock just after the half-hour mark. Mats Hummels steered a magnificent path into the 27-year-old, who skipped past Axel Witsel before squeezing a left-footed drive, you know, beyond the Athletic goalkeeper, who did manage to get a hand to the ball, but he just could not keep the ball out. And then it was 2-0, and then it was 3-2 on aggregate just 5 minutes later. You know, taking Sabitzer's clever layoff into his stride, Ian Madsen surged into the penalty area and drilled low into the bottom corner from a tight angle, putting Borussia Dortmund ahead in the tie for the first time. And hey, what an incredible encounter this was turning out to be. It was. And look, I must say that was a fine response from Diego Simeone, you know, in his first half, you know, showing with a triple substitution. And he did not have to wait that long for his charges to actually pay off. A bit, you know, with a slice of good fortune, you know, Mario Hermoso met Antoine Griezmann's outswinging corner with a powerful header, which struck, you know, the outstretched leg of Hummels finding its way into the net. And that was actually, you know, deemed to be a Mats Hummels' own goal. But, buoyed by their fine start to the second half, the visitors continued to commit bodies forward and then almost restored parity through the halftime substitute, Angel Correa, who steered his shot just wide after racing onto a Koke pass. And, Correa's aim was more accurate moments later, lashing into a loose ball after Gregor Kobel had kept out Rodrigo Recalm's, stinging drive. And, hey, spurred by, and they were just like spurred on by their, vociferous, supporters. Dortmund managed to actually level the tie once more, just 7 minutes later. Brandt's pass down the flank, picked out Sabitzer, whose pinpoint delivery to the near post was made by Nicholas Fulkrug, deft header, which flew into the net via the upright. 3 minutes later, Sabitzer, had the final say in an extraordinary context. And the Austrian midfielder sending the home fans into raptures, with a low effort into the corner after, Fulkrug's shot had been blocked by Jose Maria Jimenez. And let's just say, man, you know what? From Julian Brandt, I would say he's my man of the match in my opinion, because it was a good goal, tireless running, great work rate. He was actually able to make those runs off Fulkrug, but he was also very influential in the build-up, finding space between the lines. And yeah, man, I must just say, a deserved man of the match performance from him. And look, as for Atletico Madrid, they were just unlucky, because this game just had everything. It was back and forth. Dortmund were just like the better team. And this will actually mean everything to them because, look, Brandt's first half strike was his first in the Champions League knockout stages. Dortmund have only lost 3 of their 19 home matches against Spanish visitors, right? And they are only 1 of their last 11. And now currently, Borussia Dortmund are now unbeaten in their last 10 Champions League matches at home. And this was like their first, time Dortmund have actually scored 4 goals in a Champions League match at home, since that 4-0 victory versus Atletico in the 2018-2019 group stage. Atletico Madrid, on the other hand, have now gone 11 matches in all competitions without clean sheet. And the Spanish side have now lost 8 of their last 9 UEFA competition matches away from home against German clubs. Oh, Bayern Munich versus Arsenal, the second leg. 138 years of history, no Champions League for the Gunners, still. When will the Arsenal fans ever be happy? But I told Arsenal fans that, look, you guys are going to lose this clash due to the fact that Bayern Munich have got more big game experience compared to the players that are on your club, right? And that's exactly what happened, and I was proven correct this time. Because yes, Bayern Munich won by 1-0, on the night, winning 3-2 on aggregate. It was actually Josh Kimmich's header that took the home side through to the semi-finals, where they will face off against Los Blancos, right? So Joshua Kimmich, scored a second half header, right, which sent the German side through to the semi-finals for the first time since winning the Champions League in 2020. And Joshua Kimmich's second header was just enough to actually earn Bayern Munich, a 3-2 aggregate victory against Arsenal and propel them into the UEFA Champions League semi-finals. Okay? It was an interesting game of football to actually watch, a very pulsating atmosphere at the Allianz Arena in Munich. And, it was actually an even attentive first half. The second leg burst into, life just 2 minutes after the restart. First, Leon Goretzka headed onto the bar. Then Rafael Guerrero's effort on the rebound was deflected against the post. Suddenly, Bayern Munich were in the ascendancy. And, this match just had everything. And midway through the second period, they were ahead as Kimmich met, Guerrero's inviting cross with a firm diving header that gave David Raya no chance. Leroy Sané as well. I mean, he just, Leroy Sané against Arsenal, his performances have always been superb. You just have to remember his days at Manchester City. You understand? You just remember his days at Manchester City. Leroy Sané, remember, he also had a golden chance to double the lead, and then he just blazed over, because on the other hand, the Gunners, they just could not master an equalizer. As Bayern Munich certainly, they contained them expertly. But not a bad way for Bayern Munich to respond after losing their Bundesliga crown to Bayer Leverkusen on Sunday. And next up is, the record champions, Los Blancos, in the last four, right? And so, to be honest, yes, Arsenal did have a couple of chances here, particularly Martin Odegaard. He had a brilliant chance, forcing a great save out of Manuel Neuer, right? That was basically the only time where I really saw a real threatening opportunity from the Gunners, right? And let's just say, it goes without saying that Bayern Munich did create great opportunities apart from the goal that they scored. They could have won the game by 3-4 goals. But look, they will be much more content with the fact that they are through to the last four of the UEFA Champions League for the first time in 4 years. And guess what? In my opinion, I just would say that Josh Kimmich is the man of the match. Because he, despite the fact that he got the winning goal, right? He was very good on the ball, throughout the game in Munich. He was also defensively very strong, very, attentive to the game, very aware. He did so well to actually mark, Gabriel Martinelli out of the game because the Brazilian was nowhere near his best, right? And yes, it was a super Bayern performance. The Allianz Arena was in full song at full time. And on a night, when experience proved telling, like I said to the Arsenal fans, Bayern's big game players underlined their quality as the German record title holders ended their 3-year absence, from the Champions League Final Four. And it was Kimmich, who was the match winner to actually provide a perfect tonic in the midst of the Bavarians' toughest season in over a decade, And as for the Gunners, it's heartbreak once again for them. They played so well over the two legs, I must say, against a vastly more experienced opponents, and they showed more than they belong at the sharp and, at the sharp end of this tournament. And unfortunately for the Gunners, it wasn't enough. It was clear that this game was going to be decided by fine margins. And if you leave the kind of space they did for Kimmich's goal, right, teams at this level will definitely punish you. And that's exactly what the Bavarians did to Arsenal. But look, hopefully Mikel Arteta's young squad will learn a lot from this, and they will continue to be better with experience, right? But it was actually a game of chess, in the first half. I mean, nobody wanted to make the first mistake. And everybody played a bit safe, but both teams were encouraged to go at it, from the halftime and to show a bit of more personality, a bit of more courage. And Bayern Munich were more fluid and they played fantastic, football in the second half, right? And then on Arsenal, I would say Arsenal really tried against a team that had more experience, throughout the time. But the margins were very small. And there were moments when I would say that Arsenal were better. But then, they gave them 2 goals. And that's an advantage to give away, right? But look, Bayern Munich have had a tough season. And hopefully, Arsenal will learn from this experience, this young Arsenal squad. But they played a big part. And they should really be patting themselves on the back. After so many years of absence from this tournament, making it to the quarterfinals should be a big achievement for the Gunners. But Bayern, on the other hand, they're through to the semi-finals for the first time since winning the Champions League in 2020. It will be their 13th last 4 appearance in all, second only to Real Madrid. 5 of Kimmich's last 7 Champions League goals have been scored in the knockout stages. Bayern Munich will now join Borussia Dortmund in the last 4, only for the third time, right? There have been 2 German clubs in the Champions League semis after the 2012-2013 and 2019-2020. And as for Bayern, they've won, 12 and they've actually drawn 3 of their last 15 Champions League home matches. Manuel Neuer kept his 58th Champions League clean sheet, breaking Iker Casillas' long-standing record. Records are always there to be broken. Let's just be honest. Look, let's just make it quick, this one, right? Because on this game between Manchester City, I can go between Manchester City and the record, title holders, Real Madrid. I can go on and on for the whole day, right? But just because I want to keep it safe, I want to keep it short and sweet, right? Look, yes, Real Madrid won on penalties. Yes, Real Madrid, they held their nerves in the shootout. But I guess, unfortunately, the team that deserved to win didn't win. you know. And I guess, football is always about that. Football is so unfair, to say the least. It's very unfair. And City have got themselves to blame, I must say, despite the fact that they dominated the whole game, the whole 120 minutes. They could have taken their chances, especially in regulation time. KDB, Kevin De Bruyne, despite the fact that he got the equalizer, he should have scored that opportunity that he had. I think that opportunity came back to bite them. Yes, the score was 1-1 on regulation time, even after 120 minutes, which forced us to go into the penalty shootout. And Andrew Lunin, saved 2 penalties in the shootout, as Real Madrid now eliminated the holders Manchester City to reach the UEFA Champions League semi-finals for the 4th season in a row, right? And look, Real Madrid, to say the least about Real Madrid, it's just that thing, they have that big match temperament. It's always that thing where, if luck is on your side, it's on your side. If luck is on your side, it's on your side. Yeah, that's what I can just say, because Man City were very unlucky, Yes, Real Madrid now have continued their quest, for a 15th UEFA Champions League title after a dramatic 4-3 penalty shootout victory, which eliminated the holders Manchester City and booked a 4th successive semi-final appearance. So look, I would just put it like in brief, right? The citizens, they were able to bring back 3 key players, into the starting lineup from that 3-3, scintillating draw in the Estadio Santiago Bernabeu. We're talking about, the goalkeeper Ederson and captain Kyle Walker, as well as the integral midfielder Kevin De Bruyne returning. And the return of Walker, might have meant Carlo Ancelotti's ploy of overloading players down the Real Madrid left in the first leg, including Rodrigo, would not prove to be as fruitful as it was in the Bernabeu at, the Etihad Stadium. But surprisingly, it was the Brazilian international who actually struck, after an uncharacteristically cautious opening from both clubs. Madrid, they worked the ball into the right of the area when Vinicius Jr. finding his compatriot Rodrigo in space, with the low center. And Ederson was perfectly positioned, to actually repel the wingers' initial right foot effort. But the rebound set up invitingly for the visiting number 11, to place it just out of reach of his fellow countrymen. Right. So basically, Rodrigo, scored on the rebound. And now Rodrigo has scored how many goals against City? He's got 4 goals against City. Yeah. Rodrigo has now scored basically 4 goals against City. Isn't that incredible? Now also, it's the same thing as Rafinha. Rafinha, the other Brazilian, has got 3 goals against PSG, in the space of 2 games. Also Mbappe. How many goals does Mbappe have against Barcelona? He's got 5 now. So you just see records, it's like certain players enjoy playing against certain teams. Perhaps Rodrigo enjoys playing against, English opponents. Remember, he's got a brace against Chelsea the other season, and then he's got a brace against Chelsea last season. And, he enjoys playing against English teams, if I'm to say now. So because now he's got a combined what? He's got a combined 8 goals against Manchester City as well as Chelsea combined. So his opening goal, really, it prompted the holders to go on to the front foot. And the home side went close just 7 minutes after going behind when Erling Haaland, his looping header just smacked the crossbar. And the reigning champions, they just upped the tempo from that particular moment onwards, And as the match wore on, with Jack Grealish, testing Andrew Lunin either side of the Real Madrid number 13, denying Phil Foden. Phil Foden was really not at his best in this particular game. He was not at his deadliest best. But, Guardiola was in search of an equalizer. And he sent on Jeremy Doku in action with just 18 minutes remaining. And the Belgian international was central to the equalizer. He's such a tricky player. And his cross was only partially cleared by Antonio Rudiger. And then De Bruyne was on hand to actually scoop the ball into the roof of the net. And it created a frenzy within the Etihad. A frenzy. That was an emphatic equalizer from KDB. Hey man, but like I said, City could have sealed progress deep in normal time. But De Bruyne was unable to double his tally, curling a long-range effort narrowly wide, over the bar. But before he actually side-footed over the bar from close range. That was actually a surprise to me. And the teams were unable to maintain the intensity of the 90 minutes into extra time. Yes, the substitute, Julian Alvarez, he failed to beat Lunin at the goalkeeper's near post deep in the additional half hour. And it was actually Lunin, who actually proved to be the hero in the shootout, guessing correctly to deny Mateo Kovacic and Bernardo Silva after Edison had stopped Luka Modric's, spot kick. So now, the 14-time winners of the competition duly confirmed their place in the last four, thanks to Rudiger's low penalty into the bottom corner. And guess the man of the match was given to Federico Valverde. Well, I guess it was deserved, but I was expecting it to be given to De Bruyne, but I guess, Valverde also did put in a great shift. Well, heartbreak for City, man. Heartbreak.